So to start with, here is a weekly chart of the current ES contract that I traded, the ES March 2023 contract. This is, the action so far today, the first day after the Christmas weekend. So it's still within last week's range, nothing too exciting there. On the daily chart, we got an intraday break above yesterday's Friday's inside bar range. And I had already known that an intraday break is nice, but what I really want for the big picture bullish potential is to see if today's session or tomorrow's session can close above the high of this bar. So there was an intraday break higher during the overnight, if you will. So starting 4 p.m. Eastern on December 26th, when the market opened back up for the Globex overnight session, there was that intraday move higher, and then here it is on the 60-minute chart. So lots of analysis here. This is what my 60-minute chart ends up looking like by the time I'm trading. And the interesting thing here is that there was this gap, as I talked about, traded up and came to 3900.5 and then started pulling back. So when I came to the markets this morning, after kind of seeing this unfolding last night, I saw this pullback in motion, this corrective move lower. And what I identified was a key area of support here between a couple different levels. So here's a really important question that allowed me to make my trade of the day. This question is in my trading plan. I actually only added it in recently because it's something that I found with the speed of the market I really need to focus on. So the last thing I do in my prep, the very, 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 very last thing, is I ask myself a question out loud. So I'm going to type it as I say it. The question I ask myself is, if I could only make one trade today, what would it be? So it's a very simple, straightforward question. And when I asked myself that question, okay, so this is the exact question, it was very easy to me. And I asked this to myself after I prepped the 60, the 3-minute, the 15-second, etc. And I said, I would want to trade this move lower because I'm pretty darn confident that we're going to trade back towards this zone of support. I don't know if we're going to hold it. I don't know if we're going to touch it. I'm pretty sure that we're going to have this downward motion. And with my trading goal of $1,000, I can see that that would provide that. So after I asked that question, everything became very clear to me. So here's my 3-minute chart that was all prepped up. And this was around the time of the market open over here. Okay, so 9:30 or so. And when I saw this action happening, I said, this looks redistributive. This looks like contracts being sold again, not contracts being accumulated for move higher. I also saw the bear zone domination in the 3-minute chart. And I said, wow, I'm now even more confident we're going to trade into the zone. And you can see here, these are the 3 same support lines that were on the 60-minute chart for that specific zone, which I said zip code is 3855 to 3845. Specific levels were in this skinny. Okay, so here's what happened. On the 15-second chart, back here, before the open, so I even take exact notes of what I'm thinking here, and my note was that at 9:30, so like right into the open, I had thought about putting an order to sell at 3871.75. That's these old bottoms right here. Okay, one of my favorite simple Gann patterns and really works well when you're doing it with the trend. But I hesitated. I did not sell here at 3871.75. Reason being that RSI was already back towards over sold area. So it's not a completely illogical point that stopped me from making that trade. And in fact, when the market opened, you can see the sizes of these initial bars. They were quite wide. But it gave me multiple chances, and it kept coming back to 71.75. And when I finally decided to pull the trigger, okay, at 9:31, and I'll show the chart trading here in a second so you can see the detail, I didn't get that fill. I got a much worse fill. Things worked out in the end because I was trading in the direction that I planned. The market unfolded in that direction, but let me show you what that looked like. Okay, so here's what unfolded. So I thought about selling at 3871.75. I hesitated. thought about selling at 3869 accordingly, okay, in the direction of the move. And because the market was moving so fast, it gave me a fill at 3867. And then I exited at 3865. So that was the first target hit. And then what I do is I move the other stop to a maximum of 2-point loss. So with that first exit, if I make 2 points and if my second contract can only lose 2 points, then can you see how right away you're positioned to just be break even, worst case scenario? That's really worked well for me in this volatile market environment. So then the market continued. You can see it came back towards 3867, but it didn't get above that level. And then it just started going sideways. And I was trailing my stop over all of these individual price highs. Okay, so then you can see here, this is when things really started to accelerate. So then I was more focused on a 2-bar trailing stop approach, but actually ended up getting this price high. So used the price high. So the high was 3854.75. So I put the stop at 3855.25, just 2 ticks above. And then I lived through all of this sideways. Now, because this came to that 60-minute zone that I had been watching as important support, I was like, you know what? That's fine. I'm not going to buy here, but I'm also not going to exit to sell. I'm going to let the market tell me what it wants to do. And then here you can see, not even 10 minutes past the market open, the trade took me out at 3855.25. So total was 600 plus, pretty good for less than 10 minutes. So yeah, that's another really helpful technique to add to your trading toolkit. Is for those of you who are day traders and you are coming in and you are wanting to make sure that you don't overtrade, one of the best questions you can ask yourself after your market prep and you're ready to, dive in, the market hasn't opened yet, you're kind of like that horse at the line ready to run. Ask yourself, what's the question? Here it is. If I could make only one trade today, what would it be? Because that massively shifts your mind and focuses it in, and I think naturally pulls you towards making the trade that's either highest likelihood, best risk reward, or in a great situation, both. And that's what happened for me here. Had I not asked that question, I don't know if I would have been so laser focused to take advantage of the move lower, because a lot of people fall into the trap of, well, if you're waiting for this move lower, then maybe you're just sitting and waiting to buy here. Something my dad taught me. He's like, if the market's falling like this and you're waiting to buy down here, or you're waiting for something to happen down here, why aren't you looking for opportunities to sell on the way? Because we are never going to know if the market's actually going to hold our support zone. So those are my takeaways from today's session. And yeah, I'll be back at it again soon.